Namaste, Swagatam. There are 30 million people of Indian origin, PIOs, spread across 189 countries today, from Mauritius, Fiji, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, to Malaysia, Japan, Brazil, and of course the US, UK, Europe, and Australia. How does the diaspora connect with Bharat and how do they keep their emotional bonds alive? What are the challenges and how has each community circumvented these challenges? Let us speak with Dr. Arvind Bissessur to know more about diaspora Hindus in Mauritius. Sri Arvind ji is a senior lecturer at the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Mauritius. He is presently the head of the Department of Bhojpuri, Folklore and Oral Traditions of the School of Mauritian and Area Studies. He was an ICCR scholar, studied in the University of Delhi from 1995 till 2000. Back in Mauritius, he joined the teaching service and media at the same time. In 2007, he joined the tertiary sector in MGI, that is the Mahatma Gandhi Institute, and has been the head of the School of Mauritian Studies for 5 years. Dr. Bissessur holds a double MA in Education and Media and doctorate in Folklore and Oral Traditions. He has published research papers and has had several publications. Sri Arvindji is also a journalist and radio TV presenter in the National Radio TV channel of Mauritius. Mauritius, officially the Republic of Mauritius, is an island country in the Indian Ocean, about 2,000 kilometers off the southeastern coast of East Africa, east of Madagascar. It includes the main island as well as Rodrigues, Agalega, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, and St. Brandon. Historically, Mauritian population consists of immigrants from India, Africa, China mainly. A British colony, it got independence from the British in 1968, and it became a republic in 1992. Mauritius has a deep historical connection with India and Indian diaspora. Namaste, Arvindji. We have some questions for you, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much for the very nice introduction.
Dhanyavad ji. To begin with, Arvindji, could you please tell us about native Mauritians? Who were the early settlers? What are the ethnicities? Was it a French and also a British colony? And has it been colonized by other nations before it became independent?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for getting me in this program. And actually, as you introduced, you are telling how Mauritians, the diaspora is connected to India. There can't be a better example that right now, being a Mauritian, I'm sitting in the Banaras University. I'm in India. तो जैसे कहते हैं कि भारत की गोद में आकर बैठकर हम लोग मॉरिशस के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. So so when we talk of the history of Mauritius, there were no natives actually. Mauritius was it was visited by the Arabs, the Dutch, those travelers while they were going to other places, and the Dutch established temporarily in around 1598. But Mauritius for them was more a place where they could they transit, they take their food, their water, and then they moved to other countries. But what is important here, the Dutch, they actually established agriculture in Mauritius, bringing sugarcane, bringing some animals, and then they went. It was
so the first were the Dutch to settle.
They didn't settle actually. It was more
used it as a stopgap.
But the Dutch named it. They named it after the Prince Maurice de Nassau. Prince Maurice de Nassau. The word Maurice itself says how Mauritius later on, and they abandoned Mauritius in 1710. Okay, 1710 because they didn't want to settle as such. Then the French took over in 1715. And the French, they actually settled here. So when the French settled here, they developed the agricultural sector. Mauritius was a forest, dense forest. So they cleaned everywhere, and they brought slaves from Africa. This is where they brought slaves, and they renamed it. They renamed it Ile-de-France. Ile-de-France.
What's it renamed as?
Ile-de-France.
Ile-de-France. Okay.
Ile mane island.
Oh, Ile-de-France. Okay.
Ile-de-France. So they built the sugar industry there, and then here, that is in Mauritius, and then they brought slaves to her because at that point of time, slavery was allowed. All right. So slaves were brought from Africa, from Madagascar, from Mozambique, and the identity thing that we might elaborate later on, because I would say these people who were brought, they didn't have any name as such. They didn't have any language as such. They were just brought from there as slaves. Everyone knew how slaves were treated and how they. And then they started working in the sugarcane factories, developing the working in the sugarcanes and all these things, and that agriculture developed. At the same time, so as I can say, there were no natives in Mauritius when the other settlers came. But then when the French took over, the people from France, mainly the agriculture masters, they came here and they started their agricultural business, producing sugar. And Mauritius the Mauritian sugar was very popular. So then there was what we call the Battle of Grand Port. The Battle of Grand Port. The Port is a district in Mauritius. It's in the southwest. So the battle was a naval battle. Okay, the French were in Mauritius, and then the British started a naval battle. They fought the French twice. At first, they lost, and then in their second attempt, they were able to defeat the French. Now, then they took over Mauritius in around 1810. But what is more important here, and which proves Mauritius to be a very reconciling country even now, the British, though they had taken over, they didn't chase the French away from Mauritius because the French were well settled. They were running the agricultural sector, and the British were very fond of the Mauritian sugar, how they can take it to their other colonies in British India here itself. So they let the French people continue their business, but the problem was there because in 1835, something like this, slavery was abolished. Okay, we can see some years earlier also. So then the British, because the British at that time they were ruling in India through the East India Company. So the British brought our ancestors, my ancestor, from India, from different parts of India, mainly from the northern part of India, Bihar, Calcutta, and that was the beginning of what we call the Great Experience, which was repeated in other colonies of Britain. So then in 1834, the first batch of Indian immigrants reached Mauritius, around 75 people. They were in the Atlas ship. And what is very important is the names of those people are here, very much here. Near where I stay in the north of Mauritius, there's a place called
Yes,
Puyar.
Arvindji, I wanted to ask about that when did the first Indians arrive in Mauritius and how did they arrive? And were they mostly from the north or the south? And if you could speak of some of the leaders who took part in the independence struggle and the major leaders, Indian Hindu leaders.
So as I said, 1834, the first batch of Indians arrived. But a small parenthesis here, it's important to note, because the Indians, the North Indians, were not the first Indian to come to Mauritius. Because as I said, during the French colony, when Mauritius was a French colony, people from South India, from Madras, from Pondicherry, they came, they were working in the French ships when Napoleon and all these people were here. Maille de la Bourdonnais was the governor. So they were working as artisans and not as laborers. So they were brought to build the Mauritian seaport, and then they work in the ships and all. So if historically speaking, we can say the South Indians were the first Mauritians, the first Indians to come to Mauritius.
And this is about the 18th century, in the 18th century.
But they didn't settle down as such. So the wave of immigration in 1834, as I said, 75 people came. And then the process continued till 1910, something like this. So around 400,000 Indians came to Mauritius. Some of them went and they came back as returning immigrants. So also we can add here, as we said, who are the leaders who actually emerged. At first, the indentured laborers, they had to face many problems. But when Gandhiji visited Mauritius in 1910, he was coming
19.
from South Africa. He was
Okay.
going to, from Durban, he was going to India. He transited in Mauritius. People say he transited to look at the plight of the Indians. But history, some people say because the ship had some problem, so they had to transit in Mauritius. So and he stayed for some days. How many days? This also is debatable. And then when he came here, he met the Indians. He met the Indians, talked with them, and then he actually put the first seed of leadership in those indentured laborers who were left for themselves at that point of time. And so they didn't have what we call a leader as such. So what they did is, when Gandhiji came, Gandhiji started, a leadership course, we can say, for them, told them the three mantras. If you have read the book Gandhiji Bole The, written by Abhimanyu
Gandhi.
Anand, he talks about गांधी जी ने क्या बोला था. So this was like the first thing he said: get your children educated. Okay. Second, get your children interested in politics. This is where Indians started actually to take interest in politics. And the third is make them participate in cultural activities and take leadership of many institutions. So then Gandhiji left. Gandhiji left, and when he left, there was that sort of awakening among the Indians. कि हमें अपने बच्चों को पढ़ाना है. We
हाँ.
have to, that this country can be ours. And which
Yes.
is worth noting, that that period was the period when Gandhiji went. India also the Swatantrata Andolan had already
हाँ.
started.
Yes.
So then Gandhiji, when he went, he sent Manilal Doctor to Mauritius. He was a barrister, and he was sent to Mauritius by Gandhiji to fight for the rights of the immigrants, and also to help them here. So when Manilal Doctor came, he started an Andolan. He started a newspaper known as the Hindustani, in Gujarati, English, and then Hindi and all. And he was fighting for the rights of the Indians in the not in the parliament, but he was a lawyer, so in justice and all. And he gave justice to many people here in Mauritius. And then
Okay.
little by little, other organizations, other people from India came to Mauritius, like, for example, the Arya Samaj. When the Arya Samaj was spreading around the world, they came to Mauritius to make people understand why it is very important to get your child educated. It is very important for them to have a spiritual awakening through the Vedas. And then they even how can I say, the people, many of them who came to Mauritius, they were not educated. Many of them couldn't write their names. So the Amas Andolan, this is
Uh,
where the Bisundayal brothers, the
हाँ.
Bisundayal brothers, then you had later on the our present Prime Minister's father, Sir Sivsagar Ram Ghulam. So before
हाँ.
that, the Bisundayal brothers, along with the Arya Samajis who were in Mauritius, they uh, they encouraged the people to, and they went by bicycle in every nook and corner of the country to teach them how to write their names. And this is where uh, they started asking for independence. So
Uh,
so
so it was
some
both a spiritual movement and as well as a political movement and a literacy movement all combined together.
combined together, yes, because the main motive, the main aim of the Arya Samaj was not only spiritual but also political, cultural, and social. So, like this, when people started knowing about Mauritius, and as I said, the base of education was already here. So when those Indians who were working hard, and the French also were kind enough to give, they gave plots of lands to the Indians so that they can start their own agriculture, they can build their house. So then
So,
they
is that your memory from childhood while growing up? What are your memories? And when you say they were kind enough to give land to build, could you also build cultural centers or temples? So, I would like to know a little bit about your childhood in Mauritius. How was it like
yeah.
growing up Hindu?
I was born in a place surrounded by Hindus, okay? Not only Hindi speaking, but also Tamil speaking, Telugu speaking, also Muslim people. So we grew together as, you can say, as brothers and sisters, because uh, my Tamil neighbors used to come to my place. My daddy used to prepare food for them. My Telugu neighbors used to come, and we used to play. We were in the same, pre-primary school. We were playing near the rivers. Prayers also. At that time, there was not like, uh, this is Hindu prayer, this is, Hindi speaking, this is Telugu speaking. Everyone was, and still now, we still participate in all the festivals. For
Okay.
example, we just had Venkateshwara Puja some
Yes.
days ago, and I was in Mauritius, but my family, my wife and my son and my daughter, they were attending the ceremony there. So we contribute, we help, we give donations, we participate even in Tamil festivals. I remember when I was very young, attending the Kavita festival, you know,
Kavadi. Yes.
Kavita
It
festival.
was
We were
some.
attending
Yes.
that.
Yes.
We were very much part and parcel of these communities. So we grew like with them. Uh, the Telugu community people, they were speaking Bhojpuri very at ease. The Tamil
Okay.
speaking people, they were speaking Bhojpuri at ease. Even the Chinese people were speaking Bhojpuri at ease, because for
That's
them,
beautiful.
they had to learn the language to run the business. Or
Ah, yes.
and then even the Muslims, they grew up with the language. But growing up as a Hindu, I realized that at one point of time, when the different movements started coming to Mauritius, different ethnic movements started coming to Mauritius, there was a call for a different identity. You see, then people were recognizing themselves more as Telugu speaking, Tamil speaking, Urdu speaking. So I witnessed that. I
Okay.
witnessed that. I could
So there was a
see that.
shift from all as Mauritians or Hindus to different regional identities
Regional
as time
identities.
passed.
It is because because at first those people who were coming, they were mainly from North India, but later on, with the wave of immigration, people started coming from Maharashtra, people started coming from Madras, from Andhra Pradesh. So logically, these people were Tamil speaking, Telugu speaking, so they spread their language, their culture, and which is very good. Which is very good. I myself, Ugadi festival, which is very popular in Mauritius,
Yes.
the
Yes.
for
The
in
New
for
Year,
the
Ugadi.
New
Yes.
Year for the Telugu community. We share in Diwali. We share gifts when they have their Diwali ke ek din pehle. The Tamil community celebrate Diwali, so we were waiting eagerly to get the gatu patat. We call it in Mauritius. Diwali mein wo banate hain gatu
Huh.
patat. So
Huh.
they were celebrating it one day before. So
Yes.
we were waiting for these to come, and
Calendars are a
then
little different.
and then
The
the
calendars are a little different. So
yeah.
yes.
So the next day we would go to their places. I remember as a child taking a plastic bag, putting many cakes in them, and then going house by house to distribute the cakes. We still do that.
Wow.
I take my kids to, so that this tradition continues.
Wonderful.
So
There were a lot of temples that you built early
yeah,
on, or was
yeah.
it okay? Unlike other places, they didn't have permission, other diaspora Hindus that I've spoken to, but
Even
Mauritius seems to be easy enough.
earlier, it was not easy. Earlier,
Okay.
it was not easy. Uh, you know, they had to, away from the eyes of the masters, uh, jungle ke beach, in
Acha.
Yafir, where they were working, they would erect a small effigy. They started
Shrine.
praying,
Yeah.
shrines and all. So then, as I say, the French colonizers, even the British, the French, they were very compassionate. very compassionate towards the Hindus, because the Hindus also very compassionate towards the French. If I may, that remains in my mind always. You know, when you read history in Mauritius, in 1901, there was a very severe epidemic that killed many animals in Mauritius, and it was harvest time. Harvest time means the sugarcane were being taken to the sugar mills to be turned into sugar. So what happened when the animals they died? Who will take the sugarcane to the sugarcane factory? Then one immigrant from India who used to be insulted in his work, he came home and he said to his wife, in par kahar para hai, in par prakop para hai. They have been cursed because so many atrocities they do with us. Look what is happening to their sugarcane plantation. It is drying. Then the wife says, you shouldn't do that. काहे कि भोजपुरी में they said कि
बोलिए।
उ तो लोग के मेहनत के, तो लोग के खून पसीना के गन्ना है, ओकरा धट्टा नहीं होइदा. That is, the fresh sugar cane is the fruit of your sweat and blood. Don't let it dry and become dhatta. Dhatta means a dry sugar cane. So this is where the Indians, the man, they pull the cart themselves to go to the sugarcane factories, and the women, they were pushing from there. So
Like the bullock cart, there were no bullocks, so the men would act in lieu of the
for some time,
bullocks.
for some
my
time,
God.
yeah, for
This
some
is
time.
1909.
Somewhere like 1901.
Wow.
1901. So this is where the French actually recognize
Hard
how
work,
hard
sincerity.
working people, how
Yeah.
sensitive. And you know what? They gave away lands to these people. They gave them at a very low price. My grandfather, I remember, he was working in a sugar estate. I didn't know that. I knew we had a land near the river. So once I was talking to my father, I said, "Papa, did Dada bought that land?" He said, "I think yes." Then we went to look for the contract, and you know what? It was bought at a very minimum price. Minimum price. The land from the sugarcane estate manager. Today, the land that is there near the river worth crore, and my father and my dada bought it for, I think, 9 rupees at that time.
Wow.
So the French, they were giving them land, go and cultivate, go and they started the schools, the vernacular schools. And this is where the Indians actually started emancipating at that point of time.
Beautiful. And what, since you mentioned Diwali and you celebrated everything together and you got lands, though it must have not been easy to build temples before, but celebrating the festivals like you mentioned, now it's Navratri and Dashara time. What are your memories of celebrating Ramayana? How did that help the diaspora there? And like you said, the pioneers. Last time we talked in person, you said
Mhm.
we are the pioneers, and I think
Mhm.
a lot of people have mentioned, we should not say, we can say Girmitya, but these are the pioneers. So what role did Ramayana play, especially Ramcharitmanas, Tulasi Ramayana, because a lot of the diaspora in Mauritius is from Bhojpur, from that area,
Yeah, yeah.
United Provinces. So
Just to
just
go back,
curious how you
yeah, just
celebrate it.
just to go back to the temple thing you asked.
Yes, yes.
So when they started getting lands, in the Indians, they started donating land now to build mandirs, to build shivalas. The
Oh.
Indians started donating land, and from my memory, I recall there is one family in my vicinity. They were poor. They were poor, but they had lands. They donated their land free to the community to build a shivala, which is still there. And I remember in weekend, on Saturdays and Sundays, everyone in the village, myself, we were going somewhere to bring rocks for the foundation. We were carrying bricks. So it happened like this. सब लोग मिलजुल कर उन्होंने मंदिर मस्जिद बनाया. Yeah. So going back to Ramayana, Mauritius is connected with the Ramayana. Is very much connected. We grew up singing the verses of Ramayana practically every day. satsang. We used to go in the satsang. We used to go in satsang not only for Ramayana but also Kabir and all these things. And in the bedkas, we the earlier schools, the bedkas were places actually where the verses of the Ramayana were being sung. We were acting Ram Navami. During now Ram Navami, we were doing
Ramlila and all. Huh.
Ram Leela, we were doing plays. I remember I was very small, and I was given the role of Lakshman, and so it was very interesting. It was very interesting. We every day, in Mauritius we have the chautra.
Huh. Huh.
So every day in the evening we will go for Sandhya. We will sing the verses of the Ramayana. And I remember when someone is no more in Mauritius, they keep the dead body for one night. Raat bhar, whole night, you will have uh, ladies mainly, ladies singing the verses of the Ramayana at the family where the person has died, and we used to go and spend the night there and hearing the Ramayana. Even now, it is being done like this. It's out of solidarity, out of for
Wow.
these.
So these baitakas are weekly, or is it every day, or it depends on a person who's hosting it? How does that happen? How
It
did it happen?
you it was usually being done in the bed cars, okay, in the bed cars. Initially, people were quite free because they were working for themselves, so it was happening on a daily basis. Later on, when people started going to work, working for others, then it decreased a little bit. But what is important is, some cultural groups, some social religious groups started cropping up and encouraged people. I remember during my childhood days in primary schools, we used to participate in Ramayana singing competition. We used to participate in drama festivals. So the social cultural organizations were promoting these things for students like we do. And even at our village level, our elders used to give us opportunities for us to practice our rituals and all. So we grew up like this, and we still do it. We still encourage our kids to do that.
It's a living tradition. So
Yeah,
beautiful. And you learned it from your maybe parents, grandparents. So it was
grandparents. Yeah,
intergenerational living.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So beautiful. Just shifting gears a little bit. Has there been any backlash in Mauritius like there has been in Fiji when Indians participate, or especially Hindus participate in the governance of the country? So I would like you to please explain to us a little bit about the representation of Indians, more specifically the Hindus, and at the moment, what is the current situation like?
Yeah. Uh, we can't say there is any backlash. It was feared. It was feared there will be not a Hindu, but the Hindus will backlash the others. It was feared. It is very important to note. I remember I talked about it lately. When Mauritius got its independence, before it got its independence, so Mauritius, we had people from China, we had people from Africa, from France, everyone staying, even the Hindus. So one of the conditions that was put in Mauritius to get independence was that the people should know how to write their names and sign. So this I told you about it. But when the referendum was done, the referendum to know whether we are ready, we want independence or we don't want independence. So the Hindus, many of the Hindus and the Muslim leaders, they fought for independence. And on the other side, the non-Hindus, I mean the Christians, the French people who were in Mauritius, even the Chinese, they most of them didn't want independence, and they voted for no. And there was a very little margin when yes won.
Oh.
And then those people who didn't want independence, they they thought that Mauritius will become a Hindu Raj now. The Hindus will rule over us. They feared that. And you know what happened? In our archives, we have those pictures. When I look at that, I say they must be regretting what they do. Thousands of those people left Mauritius to go and settle in Australia, in
Oh.
France, in England, because they feared there will be a Hindu Raj here. And they were proved wrong. They were proved wrong because among the leaders who emerged in Mauritius, there were the non-Hindus as well. Cyril Curé, one of the first political leader in Mauritius, and even the Muslims. So they were proved wrong. And Mauritius today is the government, as you asked, we have majority Hindus, yes, majority Hindus, yes, because the constituencies of Mauritius are separated in 20 constituencies. So you can say in the majority of them you have 2 or 3 Hindus who get elected. Okay, so till now there has been only one non-Hindu prime minister, and that also he became prime minister not because people wanted him to become prime minister. No, he became prime minister because there was a deal between the one party, the MSM, led by late Sir Anirudh Jagannath, and he made a deal with the MMM, the left party, Paul Béranger. He told, okay, let's make a deal. I'll be the prime minister for 3 years, and you'll be the prime minister for 2 years. This is the first time when a non-Hindu became prime minister out of the deal. And many people, many non-Hindus, they were saying after 3 years he will never become prime minister because the Hindus won't accept him as a prime
Deal.
minister.
Yes.
But for me, he has been one of the finest prime minister. There was
What's his name?
Paul Béranger. Paul
Oh.
Béranger. His ancestors were from France. So
Okay.
Paul Raymond Béranger, when he became prime minister, he started building the cultural centers. He encouraged the creation of speaking unions. He was very much in favor of promoting that Indian culture in Mauritius. He visited India, and one of the remarkable visits he made. So you can see how important people are. After that, we had Hindu prime ministers. We had even now we have Hindu prime minister, the Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam, who has come back. So leaders are mainly Hindus. The president also is a Hindu, but others also very well represented. Very well represented. In the front bench of the National Assembly, you'll have the Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam. You'll have Paul Raymond Béranger, who is the Deputy Prime Minister. When Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam was in India lately, Paul Béranger was the acting prime minister. Number 3, you have a Muslim, okay, and then number 4, you have another Hindu as such. The ministries also are very well scattered among the different religion, and the present government is made of several parties who represent a specific group. The PMSD, for example, is mainly Christian leadership, the Christian leadership. So the National Assembly is very much represented in all the cultures.
Very, very nice to know that. Thank you, Arvindji. So coming to the industry in Mauritius, tourism must be, I'm assuming, the biggest industry. It is very biodiverse, the country, the island. So what are the various areas, various other industries that are prevalent in Mauritius? And what do you think in terms of soft power? What is the influence of India in terms of cinema or sports, let's say cricket, in Mauritius?
Historically speaking, Mauritius was an agricultural based country. Our sugar was very much appreciated by, and we called it a sugar boom in Mauritius in the 80s. We were getting preferential price from the UE, from the European Union. So we were exporting a lot. But with time, there was a shift because we couldn't rely on agriculture throughout. So then manufacturing sector emerged. Where it emerged because the government opened the country for foreign investment. So people from India, people from other countries, they came to invest in the manufacturing sector in Mauritius. And what is very important is the manufacturing sector actually recruited many Mauritians, which at that time there was unemployment. But the manufacturing sector is at the mercy of international market and then shortage of local workers. So the country had to get another pillar. and tourism became one of the main pillar, because, as you know, Mauritius is surrounded by the ocean, a peaceful country.
Uh,
So
we lost you for a bit over there, Vinji. If you don't mind repeating it,
yeah,
the
so
manufacturing sector.
the manufacturing sector was very much prioritized. We were getting foreign investment, and then uh, some problems started cropping up because of the international market competitiveness. Then the tourism sector took over, and the tourism sector was very much promoted internationally. And Mauritius, being Mauritius in its natural beauty, so tourism was promoted, and even now tourism is a very important pillar in Mauritius, and we rely on foreign currencies that we get from the tourism sector. Lately, we are getting some problem of local manpower in the tourism sector, but people are we are importing people from India, from Nepal to work in our tourism sector, and we are getting foreign investment in the tourism sector, which is very much, the one of the main pillar of the Mauritian economy right now.
Okay.
Regarding the thing that you said about the influence of India in sports, in media, mainly in media,
Oh,
mainly in media. So Bollywood movies are very much in popular in Mauritius. Even the Bollywood, Hollywood, Tollywood, nowadays the South Indian movies are very popular in Mauritius, and there are regular shootings that are carried out in Mauritius,
yes.
concerts carried out in Mauritius, and cricket is not. This is the only thing, perhaps. Uh, People who have visited India, like me, for example, who have studied in India, we like cricket. We are fond of cricket. When I arrived in Banaras, the first thing I told to my friend in Banaras, India, Pakistan, wala match dekhna hai. So we have to arrange. So like me, there are many people who are studying in India. They are fond of crickets. But the diaspora expanding, Mauritius has a very big, many people who have settled in Mauritius, Indians, businessmen, and even from South Africa, from other countries. So now Mauritius has its own cricket league,
Okay.
but cricket league, and the Bollywood movies that are made that with the theme sports are very much popular in Mauritius. So this is, and we look forward to India in many ways, and even India looks forward to us in many ways. It- and,
So
and
when you come here now, you're here in Benares. When you're in India, when you studied, or when you come now, what is it that you look forward to most, apart from watching, cricket on TV? How has India changed, in your opinion, as a Mauritian of Indian descent? What are the changes you see? And have you gone to Ayodhya? Have you done your, yatra? And how
Mhm.
do you think we can get together, the pioneers, the Girmitiyas, the Indian diaspora, and the Indians? What is the best way to learn from each other and grow?
Yeah, the first thing which everyone does for when we come to India, for example, this time they took me to the Vishwanath temple, in Banaras. So
Ji.
prayers first, and then we go for other things. And during my stay in India as student, we had visited all those places, even recently Ayodhya. And when my parents used to come to India, the first thing we do, we take them to Ayodhya, we take them to, Haridwar, Rishikesh, all these places. I'm very happy, but I hope this is the case in other places in India as well. I feel proud. I feel proud when I look at uh, the the spirituality that is there in Banaras, for example. Nowadays, I can see that, and even in Ayodhya, and people are very much inclined towards prayers nowadays. With the Navratri, I can see, the Ram Leela happening. Yesterday, I saw one, and I feel proud because what we are preserving there, it is being preserved here also, and we learn many things out from these, and many Mauritians actually invite Ram Leela Tolis from India to
Oh,
perform
okay.
in
That's
Mauritius, and the Ramayana Center has been created to promote all these. In the Navratri, for example, we have many Indians performing in Mauritius. So I'm connected with it spiritually, definitely. I'm connected with it when I come to here to look. I look forward for the Indian food, the Indian food, which in Mauritius people like it very much. We have Indian restaurants in Mauritius, but when you come to India and you eat here
Authentic, yes.
in the small dhabas, I don't fear
Gullies
something there. So it's a wonderful experience. We look forward to this, and what I like here is the uh, people are now very much uh, future oriented. Future oriented. They put much emphasis on the education of their children, which we do also in Mauritius, and they are very proud of how India has become a superpower. I can sense that in people here, and I always tell them, uh, for me, as a Mauritian of Indian origin, I always look forward for India to be a superpower, which it has already become. And Modi ji is perhaps more popular in Mauritius than some leaders. Not, I won't say than the prime minister. Modi ji is very, very popular in Mauritius, and even Indira Gandhi ji at one point of time. So we are very much connected, still connected.
So wonderful. And how can we continue this relationship? How
Yeah.
can we make it stronger? Because not all Indians go to Mauritius. Maybe some Mauritius come to India. So what would you suggest as somebody who's an educator as well as in the media as a journalist? What do you think is the best way to have this relationship stronger and get going?
Yeah,
Um,
it is getting stronger. It is getting
okay.
stronger. Just yesterday, we negotiated with the Banaras Hindu University for exchange of students. I want our students to come here in Mauritius
Wonderful.
and discover India, because those who haven't been here in India, they just know India through the Bollywood movies. You know,
Hmm.
but Asli India is when you come here. So we are negotiating for our students to have some short-term visits to come and discover India. We are looking forward to let our students know about the economic progress that India has undertaken to be a référence par excellence. And we academics, for example, I will tell you one thing without being a bit critical. I feel Mauritian academics are more respected in India than even in our own home place. I was amazed yesterday when I came here. You know, uh, PhD students giving you so much respect. आपके पांव छू रहे हैं आप this ये संस्कृति जो यहाँ पर है. I can't see that elsewhere, and we want this to consolidate the bond. I want our students also to become like this, and they will become like this only when perhaps they would visit India and
Yes,
look
there is
at the.
immersion in this culture, then they learn that automatically.
And how we look forward also, because India is helping Mauritius a lot, a lot. Some 10 months back, when the other government was in power in Mauritius, I mean last year, the relationship that Mauritius had with India was very strong. Modi ji welcomed our then Prime Minister Praveen Jagnnath open arms. He was welcomed in Mauritius open arms with great grandeur. And the now Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramgulam, when he came here, people in Benares, the streets of Benares were decorated to welcome Naveen Chandra Ramgulam. Even now, some of the banners are still there.
Lovely.
So in India looks forward to Mauritius, and Mauritius looks forward to India. And now that Mauritius has, given access to India, to the Agalega Island. I don't know if you have. So Agalega Island is being developed by India. Mauritius has given, permission to India, and you have thousands of Indians working in Agalega, whereas the local population is only 300 to 400. So you know what I look forward? I look forward for some Indians to get married with the locals there,
Yes,
and
that would be lovely. That was my next question. Is there intermarriage happening?
yeah, very much, very much.
Okay.
Many Mauritians marry. They come to India to marry Indians, okay, and not vice versa. And in Mauritian girls rarely marry Indians, Okay, but the other side, many professionals who come to India when they are studying, they marry here. And even now, those people who are coming to work in computer sector, in the IT sector in Mauritius, uh, they have settled in Mauritius. They are married Mauritians. There are many of them, many of thousands. The India independence celebration is it is celebrated with great pomp in Mauritius. You will
Beautiful.
have people having Indian flags in their houses, Indian flags in the houses for Independence Day of India and in Mauritius. Our mandirs, our shivalas have Indian flags there.
Acha.
So
So one last question. This is so wonderful talking to you, but I know you probably are also very busy or at the university. Last question, Arvindji, is I remember when we were talking before, you had told me that there is a Ramayana center,
yeah,
and you had mentioned in the previous conversation we had that the Ramayana that was brought, the Ramacharitmanas, by the first pioneers to Mauritius, is still intact and it's in the center. Is that right, or am I assuming
the,
something?
the Ramayana, which was brought, some
Yeah.
of them were brought by the Indian immigrants. In other scripts, in Maithili,
Okay.
in Magahi. Okay, so these are kept in the Mahatma Gandhi Institute, the scripts. There is a folk museum of Indian immigration. So the Kate scripts, they are there. And so we have taken it from those people who their ancestors brought it there. And apart from the Ramayana Center, there are many other centers who are actually promoting Ramayana in Mauritius, like the Human Service Trust and all. And Ramayana will never die in Mauritius. If I have some time, I will narrate a very small story to you, which I was
Sure.
narrating to the PhD students of Banaras Hindu University yesterday. There is a very famous folk tale in Mauritius known as Marich Days. Mauritius Marich Day se jana jata tha.
Marriage
And,
Desh.
I took this example because it connects. One student asked me this question. It connects the mythology of India to our local tradition.
Job. Yeah.
We know Ramayana. In Ramayana, there was that powerful demon who was killed by Ram, and he was thrown miles away in the ocean, and it was so powerful that where he landed, it became an island. They say Marich Island. And
Marriage.
later on in the Ramayana, there is that mention of Ravan abducting Sita with the help of his uncle, who disguised himself as a deer, and
Yes.
he was actually a rishi. Uh, he became a rishi. His name was Marich. So he wanted to be killed by
Ram.
Ram at the second time. He wanted to get liberation, and he in the Ramayana, before dying, he praises Ram for liberating him. I I correlate that to those Indians, my immigrants, who came to Mauritius with nothing in hand, with nothing in hand, सिर्फ कमर में धोतिया हाथ में पोथिया. But when they came to Mauritius, they saw what is missing here. They saw the they need to bring dharma in Mauritius. They need to bring spirituality in Mauritius. They need to bring Ram Raj in Mauritius. So this is where many of those Indian immigrants who actually returned to India, they took all these and they came back to Mauritius as returning immigrants. This is a big example to say that the Ramayana will never ever be only for India, it is for the world. And Mauritius is a country of the Ramayana, we can say.
On that note, राम राम. बहुत
Uh,
बहुत सुंदर लगा आपसे
Thank you
बात
so
करना.
much. Thank you so much.
नवरात्रि और दशहरा की बहुत शुभकामनाएं आपको.
Same to you.
And I
Same
hope
to
you
you.
enjoy the rest of your stay in Bharat, and
Thank.
perhaps we see you in Mauritius,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
or we can, the exchange students. I hope that takes off, and
yeah.
more students get to come here and experience Bharat in all its glory. So,
Yeah.
बहुत बहुत
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad.
धन्यवाद. राम राम.